You're listening to the BB Naija Lockdown Breakdown on Not Just OK Radio.
Welcome to another live and fantastic edition of BB Naija Lockdown Breakdown. You're hanging with me as usual, your favorite host, Afro7, and with me, of course, is your co-host, the lovely Ify. Ify, say what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the show.
Yes. It's nice to hang with you guys again. So this is the penultimate show, the second to last show of the season for this dope season of BB Naija Lockdown Season 5. It's been a ride, but we'll talk about all that next week when we get to the final show of the season. So on Sunday saw the eviction of Tricky T, as I think most of you might have predicted. But the one that a lot of people didn't see coming was the eviction of Ozo. Ozo, prior to his eviction, would have been, in my humble opinion, one of the surefire top 5 housemates left in the house. So he was evicted on Sunday due to the nominations that we discussed last week, Tuesday, which saw Ozo, Dorothy, Laycon, and Tricky T put up. And, Neo and V did a fantastic job of convincing the housemates to leave them off the nomination ballot and leave each other off the nomination ballot, obviously. So that put one of the surefire top 5 in the line of danger. Because prior to that nomination, you would have said Ozo, Dorothy, Laycon were definite top 5 candidates headed up by Nengi. And of the remaining 3, you would say Neo, right? But hey, man proposes, BB Naija disposes. And, Tricky T left the house. Ozo left the house upon his exit. Do you remember what he did when he left the house, Ify?
I love you, Nengi. I love you, Nengi. I love you, Nengi. I love you, Nengi.
Oh, that was cringeworthy. I was quite cringeworthy.
And even everything, his post-eviction show for me was my least favorite the entire season, because I think it's like your one last opportunity to sell yourself on the show. And what did Ozo do? It just made everything all about Nengi, and I didn't like that. They literally had to yank him off the stage, with Ebuka consent saying, okay, it's a wrap, because it's a time show, and they have a time limit which they're supposed to interview housemates and all of that, and it also kept going on and on and on and on and on, But then, I guess he's had a good running on the show. It's definitely made his mark, aside the whole Nengi situation, I think he played a good one. He had a good running on the show. As far as sports analysis goes, Ozo really did sell himself. So I hope that, sports brands in Nigeria are going to, that's a good one to look out for. Tricky T as well. I think that he also, we saw him develop and direct drama pieces in the house, now Tricky T producer, Tricky T director, And all the best to Tricky T and Ozo. And I hope that life is kind to them post-show.
Amen. Yes, Tricky T. I look forward to seeing him directing, producing, and some of his music as well. Like you said, he showcased that in the house. Ozo, of course, he's the one thing surefire about Ozo is his passion for sports. I think we touched on this a little bit last week. And to be fair, and I know his fans would dispute this, Ozo is actually one of my favorite male housemates. Ironically, I stopped liking him for maybe about 2 weeks when he ramped up that disgusting behavior, and it just I call it as I see it. Okay, it doesn't matter who it is. I was on my absolute favorite for being boring and uptight, when he was. I was on my other favorite for locking himself in bed all day. It is what it is. I can't see black and call it white, even if I like the housemate. I like Ozo. He's a very well-raised, conscientious, kind man.
Yep.
But
I think we said that a lot at the beginning of the show as well.
We did.
Because, we kept talking about Ozo, as a matter of fact, for the first 2-3 shows, and we made a lot of reference to how well raised he is. He's just not socialized.
He's not exposed enough where women's matters are concerned. And I think maybe when he gets older and he looks back on this time, he might wish he'd done certain things differently as well. So that was to me his biggest demerit, but I wish him well. He's a nice gentleman and he's very kind. Today he went to greet his fans, and you can imagine this guy actually brought gifts for them. He brought gifts for the fans. Yeah, he brought them he brought them little bracelets. You know, it's like just so thoughtful, and it's very Ozor. So I wasn't surprised at all. So we definitely wish him well, and I'm going to miss him, and I'm really sad that he lost his place in the top 5 to him just being diplomatic once again. But he's taken in his stride, so I suppose we just have to move on. Good luck to him. Good luck to Tricky T. So this week we decided to do a special show analyzing the games of the remaining 5 housemates. These are the 5 finalists. So in alphabetical order, we are starting with Dorothy. Then we go on to Laycon. Then we analyze Nengi. Then we go on to Neo. And then, last but not least, we go on to V. Right. So, one of the housemates that survived the hard-fought nominations eviction list last week was Dorothy, and the explorers have really been tasked because this is the 3rd straight week they've voted in a row, and it's pretty much last week was pretty much a do or die affair. And listen, you couldn't be on the timeline without seeing vote for Dorothy. Vote for Dorothy.
I know. That was some really serious campaign.
It was intense. I even partook in some of it. It was absolutely intense. So yeah, how do you see Dorothy's game from week 1, where she was Ovia, can you please remove this Golden Diet song from the playlist? Thank you. Where she was one of the favorites, I should say, one of the favorites to be a finalist. How did you see her game progress from then until now?
I'd say that from the beginning, Dora was easily one of the favorites this season. I think it's also like, seeing a woman like her on the show, bringing the kind of personality that she brought and all of that. She's confident, she's smart, she's also very, like, she's in control of her emotions. So it was quite interesting to see a girl as young as she is. She's 24, right? I think 24 years old. So yes, it was quite interesting to see a girl of her age, be as assertive, as, focused.
Yes. It was. And, she had a vivacious personality from the beginning, from her time she came on the show. She was very much the life of the party. She was also center of some of the dramas in the house. So there was the Dozone triangle. There was the triangle with Wathoni, whether she was in it, whether it was real or imagined, she was right bang in there. But we don't want to reduce her game to just the triangles that she was in, even though they formed a large part of her consciousness with the audience. I think it's also worth talking about how the choices that production made affected how her game progressed. I think it's also worth
examining. Back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yes, I noticed. I think I was just talking on how her game can't just be reduced to the ships that she was in. How also production made certain choices that also affected her game. Could you please speak on that?
Okay, yeah, so that's for me, that I guess I'll be referring to the situationship with Ozo. I think it was kind of unfair, to constantly put her in the line of fire week after week, talking about the same thing, even though Ozo had, clarified to say, oh, we're just friends and everything. And you can't hint somebody else's game on or whatever the other person is doing on her, Ozo, she was literally boxed into a ship, almost like against her own wish, because at some point she had said, okay, you know what, I'm done with this thing, go and do whatever it is that you want to do. But then, for like week after week after week, I think for like 3 weeks, straight like that, because yes, it was 3 weeks straight, because it was in the 3rd week as well when Ozo was had HOH, that it was brought up again for the 3rd time. And even though it was almost too late, to sort of change, because at this point she had become so conscious of, this thing, and then she just went like into a shell. So it's almost like we never really saw like all of Dorothy, because she was not so guarded, so careful.
Yes, I think
like
for
that was
me,
really all her game had become about.
I think for me, the biggest thing that affected her game was Ibuka's inaccurate statement that she told a housemate that she liked Ozo, a
That she liked
statement
also,
that
yes,
she
that's
never
very
made.
correct.
I think thinking about that, it made her reluctant to actually speak. It made her reluctant to give her real, unedited, unfiltered opinions on situations
On
because
things, yes.
she wasn't sure what was going to be pulled out or what was going to be misconstrued or what was going to be made up on Sunday. So I think that was the biggest disservice to Dorothy's game in the house, because initially
Yes, it
she's
was.
shown, like, the viewers really were drawn to her due to like her jovial character. She was quite mature for a 24-year-old, but at the same time very playful. She cultivated relationships with most of the housemates, so she was at the forefront of happenings in the house. But once Ibuka dropped that line where he claimed that she said she liked Ozo, Dora, you could literally see her post-show retreat into herself, and then a fellow housemate saying something along the lines of "you're a side chick," which then led to Ozo having to call a general house meeting and him telling the housemates what about how he felt about Dorothy or how he didn't feel, which I thought was quite calamitous, really. But it didn't
Yeah,
help
I
matters,
think everything,
you know.
honestly, I think it just made everything so much worse, like
Yeah.
we've now gathered here to now still deliberate on my matter, it was really, I mean, like, she's a really strong girl, I must say. Like, if Nami, if I don't scatter everything since everything
Yep.
happened now. Am I the
Yep.
only
Yep.
person on
Yep.
the show? You know what I'm trying to
Yep.
say. So yes, I think for a girl her age, she did an amazing job of keeping, her emotions in check. Like, just not being, like you said the other day, like, on the last day, like on video, like, if she opens her mouth to tell, like, people, all the people that she had feelings for on the show, people are going to really be surprised. Because, but then again, I also think that, at that age, it's okay. It's actually okay to be yourself. It's actually okay to flirt. It's actually okay to, do whatever it is that you want to do. Do you get
It's
what I
okay,
mean?
but then when the
As far as,
repercussions are so immediate, as on Sunday, because Ibuka's statements sound like judgments. They don't remember.
yes,
They
yes,
don't have
yes.
any
It's
clues
like
as
his
to what's
word is
going on.
law. Everything
They
he
don't.
says.
They don't have any clue as to what's going on outside. So when he talks, it's almost as if he's saying what the public thinks. So does that mean I have to stop doing this? Does that mean I have to do this more?
Exactly,
It
exactly.
messes with the mind. So even
Yeah,
though,
yeah.
yes, I agree, at that age you should live your life and flex and be free. But when production comes on stage on
Yeah,
Sunday and
messes
tells
and
you,
just interferes so much. Yes, it just kind of makes it hard to, because I mean, like, it's really unfair. I mean, like, if I didn't say something and someone comes to say, "Oh, you said this," and she said, "No, I didn't. I don't remember," and he said, "No, I heard it."
are you
So it's
calling me
not
a
like,
liar?
are you calling me a liar? That kind of a thing. And then the other housemates are like, and then of course they were like side talks and everything after, like, post show and all of that. People saying, this one is here for me, best friend. This one, that kind of thing. I just feel like it was really unfair, to her game. However, I think that so it's almost like, we can, like I said before, we can never really know the full extent to which she could have gone, to which she could have expressed herself. But all and
Yeah.
by and large, I think she played a good game. I think she did,
Yeah.
maybe not an extraordinary game, but then I think
No.
she played a good
No.
game. Yeah.
I think, honestly speaking, and please, fans, get in touch with us using the hashtag BBNigerLDBD. I would really like to get your take on this. I think the dry 2 weeks that followed that exchange affected Dorothy's game irreparably. Where I would have said that there was a possibility that she was a dead cert for like second or third place, it became really wonky. Do you see what I'm saying? And then, she cultivated other friendships as well, not just Ozo. She was really good friends with Prince. She was very good friends with Katharina, who left in the first week. She was also quite good friends with Lucy. She tried to cultivate a friendship with Erica. Erica wasn't
Erica.
very forthcoming with that. So, she tried. And then she got, after that statement by Ebuka, she got very sharp with Ozo. She got very like rude, very very touchy with him. So I think that was her way of expressing how hurt she was to be put on the spot and to be accused of saying something she clearly didn't say. So I think that definitely irreparably affected her game and maybe her popularity on the outside. Luckily for her, she's been able to retrieve some of that, being up back to back to back. The audience has been able to build a narrative around her run on the show and how she was in
Yes,
some
yes.
ways used as fodder to elevate other housemates' games, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And I mean,
that's
also too, like, and I mean, also, I think what also helped Dorothy as well is her being able to have, like, good relationship with most of the other housemates. So even evicted housemates, see, like, people, fans of Evicted Housemates automatically become like, fans as well. Like for instance, and so many elites who, like are actively voting for Dorothy. I know so many people who are like Royal Army, that to be princes and fans actively voting for Dorothy. So I think she inherited a lot of just because of her relationship with. So yes, I think as far as the show goes, she played a decent game. Really.
Yes, she played a decent game. In her case is a case of we never know what would have been had production not really interfered. Because to
Not
be fair, one of
interfered so
one of
much,
my
yes.
biggest gripes where she's concerned, they never spoke of her as a winner. Given the outsized personality she had, they never, and they being a lot of the fans, I guess I should include myself in saying we never spoke of her as a winner, which is baffling because she has a personality of one, so that just never entered the conversation. And I think those 2 dry weeks sort of cemented the fact that she wasn't going to win the show. Of course, by then Laycon was a runaway favorite, but someone to challenge him, really, someone that could really get the fans going. Because if you think about it, I think if you don't have an antagonizer, it's very hard for you to win the show. So you need to be a protagonist or an antagonist. One of the two. If you're a protagonist without an antagonist, if you're an antagonist without a protagonist, you cannot win Big Brother. That's just the long and short of it, okay? And Dorothy had that, and she had a narrative, and she had a story. But anyway, it is what it is. She's in the finals,
It is what it is.
Her explorers turned up. My favorite talk and do legion. They turned up for her, week after week after week after week. And shout out to everybody else that's considering voting Dorothy and voting her, because I also think as well as Dora in the game, I think it's also important to see a young woman like Dorothy on the stage. She deserves it, and congratulations to her. Let me just go to some of the messages that we've got on the timeline. Thank you very much for tuning in and hanging with us once again. I really do appreciate it, and I'm certain if he does as well. Looking at the pet project, says Dora did well warming her way into the contestants' hearts in the beginning. The able car questions and the love shapes almost derailed her, but she took charge of her emotions and stole viewers' hearts in the process. Yep. Ms. M. Saudatu says, I wish the production didn't force her to shrink. The margin we expect to see on Sunday wouldn't have been as wide. And Mobolox G says, I agree. After Abelka's statement, she seems so extra conscious. Ebelime says, production really affected Dorothy's game, which ended up making her so conscious of the cameras every time. Up until now, she checks the cameras and holds back her emotions. Yes, I agree with that. Olugbemi says, Dora came with a big bang, but Ibuka's comments on Dozon rattled her. The other triangle was funny because Wathoni ran her streets. My babe slept and snored like Meccano Jen, fam. But she bounced back and took her rightful place at the top. Solid babe, all told. Yes, I agree. Do you have any comments on YouTube, Ife?
No, people on YouTube are asking how they can vote for Laycon.
No, wow. You voted for Laycon last week now.
BG said, I've got it. So I have one comment from just being 7. As guarded as we see it, she was able to change her story, which is something that is not easy to do in that house. 100. I totally agree. 100. I mean, like she may have played a different game, but she played a good game. Yes. Notwithstanding.
Yes. Being able to emerge from that narrative was a big deal, and she did that. Was. Yes. I agree with you on that. Just being 7. Thank you very much. Okay, now we need to move on to the next housemate on the list, and that is. Okay, you guys, you can't vote for Laycon. You can't vote for Laycon this week, but you can listen and write in to us at using the hashtag BBNaija on this topic that we are about to discuss. We are going to discuss Laycon's journey from the guy that walked in the lit up jacket to the young man that's there and certain to win the show. Shall I start, or would you like to start?
I think I should just start.
Okay, because I feel like I'm talking too much, but all right, let's go.
Okay, I'll start. I think that Laycon again. I mean, we already spotlighted Laycon 2 weeks ago or so, right? But anyway, a few weeks ago, Laycon was an instant talking point from the stage. For a lot of people. I think his team did an amazing job prepping him for the show. from his dressing to and whatnot. Even on social media, there was a lot of, look at how is this small boy, like this tiny boy, still a sexual and sexual enthusiast or whatever. So yes, whatever it is, like there was an instant, maybe not for me. I don't honestly do not really remember, but I mean I know that there was a lot of talk around Laycon and the way people were already arising on his matter, because it seemed like, of course, that's the typical Nigerians to feel like, oh, they're looking down on someone, so we must arise on their matter, on their behalf, So, can you hear me, Tala?
I can. I'm letting you
Okay.
cook. Go ahead.
Okay, no, you just kind of went blank on my end. Okay, yeah. So yeah, like I think they've been arising on Lacon's matter from the very first day he walked in on the show. So yes, but then as far as his own game goes, aside from the thing with Erica again, I think that he's a really smart. I mean, he's easily one of the smartest, boys on the show, one of the smartest people on the show. He had such an interesting mind, really. Like he seems to know a lot about a lot of things. He seems to, like he has interesting conversation. As a matter of fact, remember that sometimes when housemates would be like in a bind over certain issues, and then I think we spoke about it sometime, and I was like, oh, if Laycon were to have were to have this conversation, he was going to come up with like maybe a more sensible approach to how to resolve this thing. But then again, as we all, I mean, we all have our flaws as well. He's just as flawed as every one of us. So like, because the thing with Erica was really, and again, even on that matter too, like a lot of people still did arise on his matter, even
Yes,
more so,
yes.
on that as well. Yes. So yeah, but like, I think he's also one person that was able to form, relationships here and there with people in the house, minus Erica. I think when Erica was one of his first friends in the house, then Nengi, then in fact he was friends with Neil before, so it was almost like his friendship with V happened as a result of his friendship with Neil. You remember when Neil was saved, and then he was like he jumped on Neil's back and all of that. So I remember that he was actually close to the Neil first before he now became friends with V, and it just seemed to like have taken over that relationship even from Neil. So like yeah, so I think he formed good relationships. He had like like he had. I mean, he was good at a lot of things. He's mad talented. As far as music goes, as far as composing songs goes. I think he did sell himself a lot. When it comes to that. Like I mean, that's the actual essence of being on the show. So yeah, what else do you have to say about Laycon?
Yes, so my thing about Laycon is, I mean, I think it pretty much summed him up. What's interesting is, I mean, by the end of the first week, mid second week, he was already a winner. There was no catching Laycon by that time, to be very fair. So all this is academic, really. But as a housemate, he's very much a deserving member of this top five. He had
I agree.
one of the biggest storylines of the season. He also cultivated a friendship with all housemates except two. The only two housemates I don't recall Lecon having a relationship of any kind with, or maybe three, would be Eric, Tochi, and Katharina. Katharina, he probably would have had a relationship with had she stayed in the house further. But Eric, Tochi, and Katharina, that's it. Like he made sure to talk to everybody. And I think maybe that's a function of his own tendency to be overlooked. The tendency to overlook him because of his size and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because he
Mm-hmm.
did say when he walks in the house, he said, "Hey everybody, what's up?" And they turned around, looked at him, and turned around again. So it's like, yo, you don't
Yeah.
see me?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe probably due to the tendency for him to be overlooked, he's made it his business to speak to everybody. And for some odd reason, he's also been able to form a kind of a booty to crotch relationship with with
Mm-hmm.
Nengi that's really perplexing but so cute, because it shows that
Yeah.
she's super comfortable around
Comfortable,
him.
yes.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a phrase that Erica used once where she said the four proper guys in the house, which she called Neo, Ozor, Prince, and Waya. I think the freedom that Lecon allowed all the women in the house they might not have found in those guys. Maybe this is due to his size, due to his mind. We don't know. But the point is he put ladies in particular at ease to speak to him. I mean, that's how the friendship with Erica came about, because of how easy it is to speak to the boy. You know, like he listens, he gives good feedback, and he takes you in angles that maybe were not apparent in the beginning. So he's well thought out. He thinks very well. He applies what he's saying generally in the way he behaves in the house. The only exception, like if he said, was his behavior during the Erica palaver. Now, we've had this conversation prior, and I said, even I was very angry when it was going on, because I didn't understand why he was saying some of the things he said about her. And in hindsight, having watched this guy for for the stretch of 10 weeks, I would say now, I don't think he was being malicious. I think he was being entitled, narrow-minded.
Nah, I don't agree. I don't agree.
Yeah, you can counter.
Yeah. He actually said malicious things about her.
You can counter. Just let me finish. Entitled, malicious, entitled, narrow-minded, and immature. That's what I think all these things were. I don't think it was malicious. I don't think he planned to come across in the way he came across. But I think it wouldn't be too much to say, if you're in a game where your survival in the house depends on the opinions of the other housemates, you cannot go around speaking about someone in a particular manner, person to person to person, without the outlook of that person being affected. Do you understand? He went to talk to Tolani back. He went to talk to V. He went to talk to Neil. He went to talk to Praise. And he went to talk to Lucy. And these people were telling him differently, but essentially the same thing. She doesn't like you like that. But he was making comments and shaping, whether he wanted to or not, and shaping the way she was viewed by different housemates, because he made himself out to be the wounded one. But even with all that said, I still don't think it was malicious. I think it was mad entitled and mad immature. And that to me is a chink in his armor. As with reference to him taking over the friendship, with reference to V taking over Laycon as her friend, I think this was solidified when V answered the question to Ibuka. Because prior to that, V was Erica's friend. And then when Laycon started speaking to her about this same situation, her allegiance and her alliance changed to Laycon over Erica. So, I mean, I guess that's a primary example of how the fact that he kept chawing all over the house affected how Erica was perceived. But once again, like I said, I don't think it was malicious. I think it was entitled. I think it was immature. But yeah, let me concede the stage to you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I think you pretty much summed it up nicely. It's just that if you continue to say things that are unkind about me to other people, because it wasn't just her, it was her and then Kidwire, and constantly bashing this guy, constantly saying, oh, she said this to me, or whatever it is. If your friend said something to you, I mean, like, she was talking to you, not to the whole house, and then you constantly go and create a shape, like a narrative about her to other people, knowing fully well how this is, and then you now come, because I mean, even, and it's not just that, by the way, Laycon it may not even necessarily, like, even after the whole thing had happened, he'll go to V and just bring up Erica's name. Like, at this time, he knew that V and Erica weren't friends anymore. He knew that V obviously didn't have nice things to say about Erica anymore at this point. But then he just
was his friend.
What do you think? Yeah, V was his friend now at this time. Exactly, at this time. But like, he just goes and says, oh, what do you think about Erica? And then V just goes off on Erica, and then it's almost like he starts something, and then he just keeps chuckling. I just feel like, no, that's not really the way you treat your friend, because if you continue to say, oh,
but they weren't friends anymore at this point, yeah.
No, I'm talking about not V now. I'm talking about Laycon. Because even at that, he kept saying, "Oh, I like Erica very much." But then, if you like someone, he knew V didn't like Erica. So I mean, like, what do? Like, you just put up the name there, and then you go quiet, and then you just let V. And of course, it's V that everybody's going to attack, because it's hard that you're hearing all the unkind things come out of her mouth. So it's just that's why I said he was malicious. That's why I say he was malicious. However, it also boils down to immaturity. It also boils down to being entitled. So I want your biscuit. If you're not going to give it to me, then we're just going to just smash it and throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
So it's really, yes. So it was really just more like immaturity. Yes, but then it wasn't nice at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like that said, I think.
Go on.
Yeah, that said, I think a lot of it's to, I don't think he's, like, I've said it over and over, I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think he's a malicious person even, he just got carried away with whatever it is that he was feeling. I don't know that he has necessarily been in a relationship
situation before, yeah.
Yes, like that. So he clearly didn't know how to handle himself. And of course, when you continue to speak to, someone to all the wrong people, as a matter of fact, because you see, what I think is that if you had spoken to someone like maybe Dorothy from the gate,
or
Dorothy,
even Nengi,
or Nengi,
ironically.
exactly, yes, or Nengi, but it just seemed like the people that he was surrounded with at the time, the people who doesn't really have so many great things to say about, people generally. Lucy as well was
Praise advised him very well. He just chose
very
not to
well.
listen to
Yes,
Praise.
that's very correct. That's very correct. Priest said to him, "This babe doesn't like you. Like, yo, guy, just forget about this thing and move on." But he kept trying to justify his intentions or his actions or whatever intentions are. It doesn't matter. Even if you think like you're the best person for this girl, the fact remains that she has chosen someone else, anyways. So you can't.
I think like Laycon, like Ozo, like I said, I don't think Ozo is a bad guy at all. In fact, I think
I
quite
agree
the
with you
opposite.
completely.
But then you have this idea of male socialization in Naija, where you imagine yourself to be such a good guy, you cannot accept why a woman might not be attracted to you, because to you then you juxtapose yourself to the guy that she really likes, and you see him, you see all his flaws, and you compare him to yourself. I recall Laycon being in the hammock with Tolani Badge and saying he's too good for certain things, and she said to him, nobody's too good for anything. It's just life. Sometimes you like people, sometimes they don't like you back, and that something along those lines, Sha. But that's just the way a lot of men have been socialized in Nigeria. So it's normal for them to look at women through that prism of, I'm a good guy. What is wrong with you? Why don't you want me? Is it because you're superficial? Is he taller than me? Is he richer than me? Does he have a better accent than me? Is he more light-skinned than me? Whatever the issue is, they will latch onto it instead of just accepting. Sometimes you can be perfectly nice, perfectly reasonable, but a woman just does not like you like that. And she has the right to make that decision. It doesn't make her a terrible person. It doesn't mean that you're deficient. It's just the way the heart works. Just accept it and keep it moving. I mean, that to me was his downside, to me as a watcher, as a fan of his prior to that. But it fueled his popularity in some respects. It cost him some fans in some respects. But in terms of his overall game, I think he has been a spectacular housemate. If you look at him as a complete package, he has been a spectacular housemate. In my opinion, when I look at all 20 of them, and I'm to pick my own personal top 5, he would definitely be in the. It would be him. It would be Ricky. It would be Wire.
I think I remember that. Yes, I think our initial top 5 list had Laycon in it as well. Remember?
Yep.
From the first week even. Yes.
Yep. If I were to pick my top 5, it would be Laycon, Erica, Dorothy, Kid Wire, and Ozo. No, wait. No, Nengi doesn't
Nengi.
fit in. No.
Nengi.
We're gonna come to discuss Nengi, and I'll tell you why she just fell out of my top 5, even though she is my babe. But she fell out of my top 5. So yeah, that's Laycon. Shout out to the icons.
Yeah, shout out to the R&D. Is Ovie here? Quick interruption. You have about 5 minutes to vote for your housemate of the week on the Not Just Okay Twitter handle. Is the pinned post. Vote for your housemate of the week. Obviously, you guys know Laycon isn't on it, but we had to make it competitive this week. So yeah, guys, continue.
Yeah.
So guys, go and vote for your favorites.
Exactly. Shout out to the icons anyway. But yeah, do you have any comments on YouTube before we move on to the next?
Yes, I do. So Just Being 7 again says Just Being said Laycon came prepared and is such a good player to make most of the audience forget that he knows what he was doing at every step of the way. The best game is make the audience not see that you have game. He does that very well. Sans a few slips here and there.
Pause. If the best game is to make the audience not see that he had game, how did you see that he had game? That means it wasn't a good game if you saw it, right?
Well, maybe not so obvious, but yes, I kind of get what the person's trying to say. Okay, then Oluwashe says, Laycon said he was hurt till she left. So I think he did have a relationship with him, but production didn't let us see that. I agree with you completely. As a matter of fact, Tochi and Laycon, they did hang out quite a number of times. They were always hanging out in the garden, like on the bed outside. So yes, I think it was clear that they were quite they had something building or whatever. Yes. So Just Being 7 says entitled to reciprocal feeling is a very male thing to have though, and the more we excuse it, the more times we have to deal with entitled, selfish males. No is no, and you are not a victim. I agree with you completely. Jojo Med says he also did that with Wathoni when Wathoni and Erica weren't cool until she cleared him.
That is true. The people he used to talk to a lot about the situation were Thony, Praise. Yeah, were Thony and Praise. Until one day when Thony said, "Listen, I don't want to hear about this no more." Yeah, I don't want to hear about this no more. She told him point blank. I remember that she did not look amused at all because she had exhausted all her advice. Like, what's he can't remain? I beg, guy, free me. You understand? Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think what's her name even had to ask him at some point, come, have you guys done something? Because this is not normal anymore. Like, this girl has made it clear that, she wants to be somewhere else, what is this matter? What is this, And I mean, like, how that went. So yes, I think that that he didn't handle that well. Again, like I said, obviously he hasn't had so many experiences prior to this one, so he really didn't know how to handle himself. And did he have better advisors? Maybe he would have responded or taken it better and all of that. So yeah, exactly. I mean, like I think he really didn't. Maybe he really didn't rate. Because Praise was so playful and all of that. Maybe he didn't really rate.
Yeah.
Yes, rate Praise like that. Yeah. So and of course he also seems to be like closer to the girls, so which kind of, because I mean, if it's a girl I'm dealing with, then maybe girls will have like a better understanding, they'll have a better, but better advice. But the truth is, everybody has said to him, yo, guy, move on, this is not going to work. And everybody, I think I think he's a brilliant young man. He has his work cut out for him. He's a good one.
And I'd just like to add something. If, guys, this is my bias speaking, I'm not even hiding it, if we got the Tolani badge that featured on YouTube in that house, she would have made my list of spectacular housemates as well. Tolani badge was somebody
even the Tolani badge that was on stage, that came on stage, and the one that left, like, that was on stage the day she left.
Do you understand?
Girl,
I was thinking about Tolani badge today.
This girl ran off streets now.
I was thinking about Tolani badge today.
Ran off streets.
Erica was in pain breaking up a wire. Do you know what Tolani badge said to Erica? She said, it's like you'd be wearing your sunglasses.
Oh my goodness, the girl was a character,
That was the advice that she had for Erica.
Like, you just come and tell her, you really be pouring your heart out. I'm pouring your heart out and all of that. And the next thing you just hear is, Meadow. Like, Meadow. Like, yo.
Yeah. Tolani badge hurt me, man. But, I love her still. Shout out Tolani badge. Right. So now let me just take a couple comments from the Twitter handle. Obi Out Loud says, I agree with Iffy. You don't have to be a malicious person to do malicious things. Laycon made V look like a terrible person because it fueled her dislike and she'd say terrible things. Meanwhile, we're over here not liking her attitude and he's a good guy. Well, pause. We've yet to discuss V and we'll go back to that. But I think you make a good point there. You don't have to be a malicious person to do malicious things, but I stand on mine. I didn't think he was being malicious either. Okay, and let's read another comment. Ibidakbo at the Lord Yusuf says, hey Iffy, I'd like to hear the malicious things he said about Erica. Like Tola said, he was entitled, immature, and chochoing. He might have made a poor representation of situation, but no clear malicious utterances. Again, if you disagree with me, like Obi said, you don't have to be a malicious person to do malicious things. And I think that's essentially what Iffy was saying. And if you see from the other side, what Iffy says, to me, makes perfect sense. Matagu says, he wasn't being malicious on purpose. I think that's my point of view. Chief Akorede says, please, co-host, what malicious things did he say though? Like with all due respect to the listeners, we don't have pen and paper where we write down every single thing the housemates have ever said. To be
we're also viewers just like you.
Do you understand? Yeah. And Hey Baylay says, Ebeleme says, according to Laycon yesterday, he said he was looking for the best time to go talk to Erica about the she wanted to kiss me saga to clarify things. Then events on Saturday happened. Well, we'll never know now. Oroko Funny at Mobolaji says, I love Tolani badge, man. I think that's my favorite evicted housemate. My dear, you and me both. You and me both. Ayo says, Laycon wasn't being malicious, I beg. Yo, Ifeni. That means he was drunk in love. Erica wasn't helping the matter too. Well, Erica's left the house. Laycon's still in the house. We shall discuss at length after the reunion has happened. All right. So after Laycon, our next housemate to really think about and discuss is Nengi.
Nengi Nangs.
I think once again I'd like you to lead off on this. My mouth needs a break. So yes, tell us about Nengi, please.
Okay, Nengi was also like, as a matter of fact, the Nengi that I thought came to the house is not the Nengi that I saw on the show. You know, I thought she was going to be more fierce, you know, attitude and all of that, but then Nengi is super chilled. Like, she is one of the most chilled people in that house. She is measured, she's very calm, calculated. Like, she's really, 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 really chilled. So what I was expecting, when I saw Nengi come, I'm like, ooh, get into the house from the stage is not what I saw or what we've seen in the course of the show. But then Nengi, I love, love, love how competitive she is. Like, she puts in a lot of work into trying to win her tasks, trying to, but she also seemed to be a bit passive. So I noticed that she did better in personal tasks than in group tasks. So she's really like the man alone. She I think she's used to being in her own, in her own space by her own self, doing her own thing. So which also explains why she was able to win. I mean, I know that the head of house task is mostly a game of chance. However, I mean, like, people still go through the obstacles and then they still win at the end of the day. So as much as it's also like just the perseverance, you could see how, how much she wanted to win. Even the Saturday night game shows as well. You could see how, like, how badly she wanted to win, even like the task presentations and everything. But I just think that as far as being in a team goes, she's more of a follower. She's not so much of a leader when it comes to tasks and everything. But otherwise, I think Nengi is another brilliant housemate. It's like typical do not judge a book by its cover. I mean, like, the way she came into the house and the person that we saw, like, based on the way she looks, her behavior doesn't exactly match. I mean, like, yeah, of course, for the first 2 weeks when she was being all flirty with the guys, and the joke on Twitter when he was like, put time, anyone when do anyhow, knock him inside bottle. So aside from the time that she was locking all the guys on the show in inside bottle, I think that she's a pretty chilled girl, and I like her a lot, actually.
Nengi is one of my favorite women on the show, to be fair. Again, like if you said, I like that she's competitive. I like that her eyes on the prize, and despite all the teasing and all the flirting she did, her eye is on the prize. She never lost sight of the bigger goal. However, I think that people realize this more when it comes to Dorothy, because Ebuka essentially said she said something that she did not say. However, people forget that Ebuka also affected Nengi's game, asking her about flirting and leading guys on in the house. That killed the Nengi Bottle Master character. Killed it dead. That killed
Okay.
it dead. Do you understand? That Nengi that was willing to just make conversation with different guys, maybe even lead them on a little bit, have fun. That Nengi that men and women
A
were like,
little bit.
yes, have fun, like tease them, but look, the point is she did play with a lot of guys, she did tease them a lot. However, when it came to it, look at her conversation with Prince. She was very blunt with him, and this is someone she was very comfortable with physically. Remember, even at the time when Ozo was liking Nengi and chasing her, she had better physical relationship in terms of how comfortable they were touching each other with Prince than she did Ozo. And she still told Prince, look, you can't force me to do anything. You can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me who to be around. Like, if I like something, I like it. If I don't like something, I don't like it. And I'm telling you, and she told Prince, I don't like people who can't pick a side. When I'm in the middle of a dust stop, you see us, you walk past. And then you come back later to come and ask me what happened. Do you understand? She was still able to put him firmly in his place. It's not like she was outside flirting with him. She told him point blank, like, I like this and I don't like this. And you, my friend, you're playing a game and I don't like it. And it was pretty much downhill for she and Prince from there on, right? She and Ozo, the night that Ozo, after they were about, no, when she was HOH, she was about to go into the room, and Ozo was sort of keeping her because he enjoyed her company and wanted to talk to her further. She told him that very night, that I'm very playful, but I have a situation outside. Even though she was the one that put the chase on him, I think she did that to test her feminine wiles or something. I'm not sure. Right? She put the heavy chase on Ozo to begin with. However, when she was sure that she had secured him in the bottle, she told him, Guy, I have a situation outside that I need to see about. I don't know if it's still going on. I don't know where we are because I didn't tell him I was coming to the house, but I have a situation outside. So nothing is going to happen. I'm not going to kiss anybody. I'm not going to share a bed with anybody. And she didn't. The time she shared a bed with someone, she was compelled to because she was living in the head of house lounge at that time. So
I agree with you.
Ebuka also killed Nengi's game to an extent. Now, what finally killed Nengi's game was after being accused of leading guys on and whatever, she made the choice then. And also Prince didn't take her telling him off. He didn't take it very nicely. You know, Prince is a very proud guy, very together, proud kind of man. He didn't take it very calmly. So he removed himself from the equation, right? So Ozo was Nengi was left to focus on Ozo, and Ozo is an all-encompassing guy. You cannot be around Ozo and not be about Ozo completely without room for anything else. So Nengi's game was reduced vastly to just her relationship with Ozo, and I think Nengi that was poised to provoke certain emotions in the watcher, in the viewer, became a mild, chilled, super relaxed Nengi that didn't really provoke too much emotion, except when people were talking about whether she liked Ozo or didn't like Ozo. So her game essentially was reduced to Ozo. And Ozo is also a very chilled, kind of low energy kind of guy. So the one even getting into things that could excite the viewer, that could provoke emotions in the viewer, you know? Except when they were playing the do you like me, do you not like me, I love you, I like you kind of nonsense. And that's all her game was reduced to. And I think Ebuka's question on stage killed her initial plan. And I think this was her initial strategy, just come into the house and just keep the guys sweet.
Okay, but to be honest,
keep them sweet.
Okay, but to be honest, I think that for someone who said that she wanted to play, like she didn't want it to be all about her looks. She wanted to, that was really all she made it about. You get, she came from the stage. Yes, from the stage, she had come to say, oh, I wanted people to know that there was a lot more about me than my body or than my face, than this, pointing to her face, that there's a lot more about me. And then the first 2 weeks of the show, all she pretty much did was just to flirt and flaunt her body and flaunt, just be like that. So I'm saying it was kind of contradictory. So if you're saying you're coming to show us that there's more to you than this, then I think she started off very weakly. I think, as a matter of fact, as interesting as that was, because it didn't seem like it was all part of, because the first 2 weeks were hot, but as interesting as what she did ever, yes. As interesting as what she did was, it was also such a weak game, seeing as other people were bringing just more. And this set had a lot of fine girls. You get, so not be only you fine past. You get what I mean? So it was really now kind of silly game to just come and to act like, oh, queen and all of that. So yes, but I'm also happy that she quickly her recovery rate was very quick. You get. So, and minus what Ebuka asked, because I don't even really remember, because I think the flirting with guys thing happened even much later, maybe week 3 or so. But in the first 2 weeks, I think the third week before that.
So, with reference to Nengi showing her smarts, I think for me, her winning the head of house challenge, and if you listeners remember, she was the one that developed the style that they all later adopted, which is once you throw in the die, you start moving, and then you look at the die whilst you're on the move. She was the one that brought that style in. That's why she was able to win the first head of house game. So let's be a little bit fair to Nengi. Yes, her initial game was about keeping the guys sweet and drawing them inside the bottle, right? However, she was the first person to win the head of house game by introducing a style that they all didn't use. Before her, they will throw the die in the thingy, stand there to see the number, then run. Nengi will throw the die, get on the move, and then when she's not too far, she will stretch her neck to look at the number. As soon as they saw that it worked for her, they all adopted it. So yeah, she didn't have like super intellectual conversations or whatever have you, but she did show you a glimpse of her competitiveness and something that she came to the house with, at least in the first week. She did show you that, right? But I
That's
think
very correct.
obviously
Yeah.
that was subsumed by something far more salacious, which is her wearing next to nothing and shoving her bum everywhere. And I'm just gonna keep it
Yeah.
all the way real. She did that. Every time she
Yeah,
went
she
to sit
did.
down or stand up, her bum would be poking. Every single time. But I guess even she got tired of it, because it's like, okay, now what
Yeah, so
else?
like I was saying before I was caught up, I think also the fight with Lucy, because I've also noticed how when she has conversations with people or disagreements and all that, whatever talking point it is that comes out of that altercation, she tends to make adjustments to herself or to her game based on that. I noticed it with Lucy. I also noticed it with Kaisha as well. So I see that as confident or so, I don't know, as she seems, she also seems to be affected, and she keeps saying, oh, I don't really care what anybody says, I don't really care what,
Oh, she
but then
does.
yeah, she does. And she seems to be, I mean, imagine that it was really after the Lucy situation, like Nengi just made it an entire 180 degrees turn, like she just flipped to the other side, but then again, that was also an Nengi that we all likes to see. Unfortunately, she then got entangled with this whole Ozot situation. I don't really think that, as much as, I don't know, honestly, it was such a silly game for both of them, because you see, I think
True.
that she had a lot more storylines, a lot more talking points, to reduce her entire game to just Ozo. That was really, like, you can't. And then of course her fans also didn't make it easy. So people who found what Ozo was doing repulsive, who had then shaped her, like, so it's almost like people lost interest in her because of Ozo. And I think same as Ozo as well, because a lot of people are willing to die on the hill that Nengi was encouraging Ozo. Partly true, but then,
She
I mean, when a
was.
girl has said no, yes, but then, when a girl has said no to you, like, in bare
You
ways,
self find your
you said you can give
self-esteem.
yourself brain sooner. I mean, like,
Do you
even if
get
you
me?
don't, you get,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, sure, even if you don't respect your own self sooner, So I mean, I think that they definitely affected their games, and of course, it's that whole thing as well. I think it's also partly responsible for what cost Azor his place in the
Yes,
finals.
yes,
Actually,
I think
yes,
so, for sure, without a doubt. I think the way he behaved
yes.
with Nengi, because Ozo is probably the winningest housemate of the season. For someone who's, I mean, it reminds me of Toby from DW in terms of the way he wins and he applies himself to tasks, right? For someone who's that gifted, who's that brainy, who's liked by the entire house essentially, to leave before the finals, it means he did something that cost him. And what he did that cost him was
Yes,
his
yes.
relentless pursuit of Nengi. It wasn't just a pursuit, it was like a sniveling, kind of shriveled up kind of. It was horrible to watch because,
Yes,
like,
it
she
was.
would push him, she would pull him, she would. No, 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 no. It was horrible to watch and it cost him. Yes, I agree with you.
Cringe.
Also, I think that the production once again used Nengi a lot. Remember Biggie telling her to go and tell Ozo that he could potentially be on the list of her people that she would consider as a boyfriend. Biggie basically instructed her to go and tell that to him, as well as the as well as the Kaisha and Lucy confrontations. I mean, she's a
Yes,
thinker,
yes.
right? So I mean, she inside the diary room is where that side of her emerged, the side of her that really thinks things through a lot, and she was quite affected by her dust ups or her falling outs with Ozo. I mean, she even
Lucy
cried about it one time.
with
Yeah. No, no,
They
no, with
say,
Ozo in particular.
yeah, just to add
What?
something, they say Ozo is the first Igbo man to put woman before money, and look how it turned out.
well.
Shout out to all my Igbo guys and women out there, but yeah, shout out
I
to
am
Ozo
not
too.
I'm not perpetuating any ethnic stereotypes. Thank you very much. But yeah,
Go
I
away.
mean, like her storyline sort of, her storyline with Ozor sort of kept the engagement levels high. So they kind of tried to milk that at the expense of Nengi's game, because the Nengi that started in the first 2 weeks, you could say that a lot of people were turned off, but let me tell you something. The people that were turned off were people that were probably never going to vote for her to begin with, because she was that interesting. She was controversial. She was interesting. But then she got smarter when she mellowed down and she just started having like conversation with Mandem, playing table tennis to them, all that, right? But the deeper she got into the Ozo situation, the more her game just dimmed, and to me it's a shame. I think when she comes out, the one thing she's wary of being asked about Ozo in every single interview, she will find that that's exactly what she's got waiting for her. And she'll be mortified, but it's how she played her game,
Yeah,
for keeping it all the way real. So
that's very correct.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
but yeah, shout out to all the ninjas. I really, really like Nengi, and I wish her well. She's a top babe. Doesn't cause trouble for other people. Very chilled.
No, she doesn't.
Doesn't gossip, but is always
Very,
ready
I
for
think
us
she's
to
also a
chat.
very reasonable girl too. Yes,
She's
she's
very
actually quite
reasonable.
reasonable.
She's very reasonable. So yeah,
Hmm.
I really like Nengi, and I wish her
Yeah.
very, very well. Do you have any comments to take from
Comments.
YouTube?
Yes, I do. Comments. Oh, pop, 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 pop. Okay. Oluwabi says, Tola, in Prince's defense, he said Nengi stopped talking to him and she ignored him when he tried greeting her whenever he saw her after their fallout.
Prince is my
Okay.
Uriade. You don't have to defend him for me.
Pauline Motasela says, no, I think Nengi lost a strategy by not really finishing up attraction to Ozo, by really giving pecs, because we really like a romantic story. I don't think so. I think the whole thing with Azor have just become really, really, really
Go.
cringe worthy at
Just
some point.
go.
These got like, yo, please, can we see something else? Because I mean, like, if the people that were romantic in the house, we saw them. The people that were freely giving of each other, as far as romance went, we saw that, and it was nice to watch. You get it was cute to see. But then constantly doing to be following someone around like that, it wasn't. But then he's still my guy. I still like him a lot. Titilaya says, also, Ozo wasn't the only guy Nengi was flirting with. So there's no harm in friendly flirting. I think people don't like when a woman's game is to be flirty. It only seems acceptable when it's a man. I totally disagree with this, by the way. I don't think
As
that
do I.
the issue, yes, was her being flirty. It was in the how. Okay. I mean, you can be flirty but still keep it classy. Do you get what I mean? It wasn't no, it wasn't Nengi's flirty was there was nothing
Do you
nice
know
at
what's
all
funny?
about it. Like
Erica bordered on being quite flirty too. However, because her disposition was very cheery, people didn't pick up on it.
mm-hmm,
But the way she spoke to a
mm-hmm,
lot of the men was like to convince them
mm-hmm,
to maybe
mm-hmm.
give her some food or whatever. It was flirtatious.
Yes.
Do you get me? Erica
Yes.
also went about dressed funny in the first week. There was a particular day where she wore underwear for the entire day.
Literally
Yeah,
underwear,
people
like
don't
yo,
remember that. So
yes, yes.
it's in the how, not in the what. It's in the how. Do you
Yeah.
have any more
But I mean,
comments
like,
on that?
also what made it a bit different so with her, I mean, like, I don't, this is not about Erica, but I'm just saying what made it, it's kind of different also because she had so many other styles, because it just seemed like, I
Yes.
mean,
Yes,
it
yes,
was
yes,
the
yes,
only
yes.
thing Nengi was about, and I mean, like, I really think that she's an amazing girl. She has an amazing body. So,
She
yes, I
does,
guess
though.
showing it off too was part of the
She
plan,
does.
But then
Any other
I
comments on
like
her?
that when, yes, also, Nengi, this is Titilayo. Exactly. Nengi's flirtiness was interesting and harmless. Guys do it all the time and they're hyped up. Also, Nengi has already preempted that she knows all her questions will be about him, and she told him. That is, I believe she's saying this about Ozo. Oluwabi, Oluwashei, I like this final week, Nengi. I low key like that Ozo left because I wasn't looking forward to them isolating themselves from the other housemates. Well, I don't like that Ozo left, anyways. But yes, I hear you, Oluwabi. It's
Yeah,
just
so
nice to see Nengi without Ozo
it
Fumbos. At
is.
least when
I can't lie. I wish Ozo was still in the
yes.
house, but I also like that Nengi is without Ozo. Do you see what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's weird, right? I like that I could
Yes,
just
yes.
see Nengi by herself,
I
no
share
Ozo.
your sentiments
Yeah.
completely. Yes, yes, I agree.
So comments from Twitter from Oracle funny. Yes, I agree. I saw that. That Abelcar question stopped the early on playfulness, which I still can't understand the motives behind. Listen, production really needs to have a meeting about the constant. They deprived us of a lot. If you think the season was filled with content, we could have had 10 times more if they just stopped reporting what one housemate said to the other or questioning housemates' strategy so brazenly. Do you see the way Ebuka asked the question on Sunday about the nominations? Right. That is the kind of question we want to get behind housemates' thinking and thought process when they do certain things in the house, not accusations and confrontations. No, 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 no. But anyway, moving on. We also Olu says Nengi played a dumb game at the beginning, but she eventually abandoned that and showed a better side. One thing about her though, she's goal oriented and doesn't gossip. The situation with Ozo was kind of messed up, but she's a correct babe. Yes, I agree with you
I
on
agree.
that. Let's see. Ninja Sensual Beauty says Ozo definitely affected her game. She had a lot of storylines prior and she provoked a lot of viewers. She had greater audience prior. Yep, I agree. Those early convos with Ozo were so dry, bro. I think that's what cemented the boring narrative for her. Man, listen, I
Yeah, he
agree.
was.
The Lord Yusuf says, very excellent analysis of Nengi from Tola, so excellent. Her first game was dead on arrival, then she shrunk her game all by herself with her situation with Ozo. She couldn't even build her social game. I remember she recently challenged Laycon to talk to her more. I think she had a lot of script training that may have confused her game before the house, and I believe if she was really herself, she could have pulled bigger weights. You know, there's some merit to that. I can't lie. There's definitely some merit to that.
Yeah.
And then Sensual Beauty further says, yes, so many people stopped being her fan because of the Ozo situation. It was like she wasn't being straightforward. Production was pushing the love narrative. You know, I mean, listen,
It
it's
don't
it's
work.
it's it's crazy. Blackbone says, you guys hate Lecon, but he will win.
We
Okay.
don't yell.
Okay.
It's okay.
Chinedu says, what exactly did Nengi change? She still wears skimpy clothes, still doesn't pass a mirror without looking at her body, kept the same energy on relationship in the house, but still very playful. Because there's no kid or Eric, y'all don't tag it flirty anymore. Yeah, okay. Uh, and Ayo says, Nengi took too long to clear Ozo. She gave the bro so much hope. By the time she tried clearing him, it was too late. Ozo was ready to die on the line for the bum bum. I don't agree with that. She cleared him from the second night. I saw it live and direct with my own eyes. But moving on, I wish Nengi very well. My prediction is that Nengi will probably finish second or third, more likely third, but I'll be just as pleased if she finishes second. I can't lie. Shout out to the ninjas. Good luck to you all with the voting. Now it's time for us to move on to the fourth housemate
Nail.
on our list. They call him Choco. They call him the Oracle. They call him the fine boy. They call him the sexy boy from Worry. And we are gonna discuss Neo. Once again, if you please introduce us to this housemate.
So Neo was one of my faves from the first week actually. I think what I really enjoyed about it was how frustrated people used to get when Neo would just keep chawing around the whole place like that entire week. People were so upset, like, yo, who is this boy? Can he stop talking, you know? But like I liked him. I saw potential. I thought that he would play a good game, by the way. You know, he had the looks, he had the what's it called now, like, yeah, I mean, like, Neo really had everything, you know, it took for anyone to be like in the top five of the show, you know. So I think when we made our top five list, we kept coming up with six with it was more like a top six list because we kept, for me personally, I think I kept adding Nengi somewhere. I kept adding, you know, like we just kept adding the people. As a matter of fact, the one person who is not on my original top five lists is V. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't see V
Yeah, me
in the
neither.
top five from the K-pop.
I didn't
Yes.
see her. Yeah.
So if you take out V and then add Erica and I think Kid YL, so or something like that, and then I know that we're sure having, like, you know, a list of six or even seven. You know, it was hard to decide actually because it just seemed like, and as a matter of fact, most of the guys on the show were top guys. You know, Neo was one of them. He was one of, I mean, like, he had the dress sense, he had the height, he had the looks, he had the you know, popping boy like this.
I
You know,
was waiting for you to call Neil beautiful. I've been waiting for you to say it.
yes,
I don't know.
delicious, beautiful,
Very good.
delicious,
Very good.
delicious, sweat boiled.
Okay.
Are you okay now?
I am okay now.
Yes. So yes, like, I mean, he is a very good looking young man. You know, in the first week, of course, he seemed to bring a lot of gra. You know, and then by the second week when they started playing games, the Oracle, he just had, and then all of a sudden, I don't know. I honestly do not know what happened. I don't know if it's when V happened that it happened that, but Neil just went into his shell and became just an entirely different person. You know, like, I mean, it was almost like he disappeared. You know, from went off radar. You know, so we kind of stopped seeing like the Neo for me, anyways, basically like he became quiet. I think Ebuka even had to make mention of it on the show after like maybe like the fourth or fifth week, saying, "Ah, you guys don't even play games anymore," and all of that, and then of course trust Neo to come back, come back to with his full regalia as the Oracle, the week after. So, but yeah, like I think as far as his game goes as well, I think he's also one person that played one of one. I mean, towards the end anyway, he started off well and then faded off somewhere in the middle. He just got lost somewhere in the middle. As a matter of fact, Neo came was bottom four, and not only was he bottom four, he was the last of the least. He had the least votes of the bottom four,
So if they were
which means
doing
that there was something.
traditional evictions, he would have been
Exactly,
out.
he would have been long gone, like in week 4, week 5, So, which means that there was something that he was doing that even up till now as well. I don't think that Neo has also gathered as much for his looks, for the kind of person that he is. I don't think that Neo has gathered as the kind of fans that you would expect someone like that to have on the show as this. He reminds me a lot about some housemates in the past who, obviously, I mean, Mashallah had fans now, Mashallah had people supporting him and all of that. I think for Neil to appear in the bottom four, there's something wrong with his game that he's playing that viewers are not able to relate with. I also think, I mean, this is not a session about V, but it seems like the thing with V as well kind of took away from his game. Do you get? So Neil kind of played a different game that he would have played if he was playing alone, as against playing as a couple. Even though at the end of the day, being playing as a couple is what actually secured both their positions in the final week. Because I mean, like if they were playing as singles, then nobody would have cared who you were saving or who was being saved or who wasn't being saved. But yes, so as far as the game goes, I think Neo played an okay game, played a decent game, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, so I think if
I'm sorry, I'm noticing something. It's like you guys always say, like this couple, something takes away from their game. The fact that they are in a ship is it that joining a ship is a disadvantage when it comes to playing this game, or
it
what?
depends. It depends. It really depends. But one thing is apparent. One person in the ship will always have more fans than the other. And it's usually, you know what? There's no usually about it. It's just that one person in the ship will have more fans than the other and they will drag the other along with them. Unfortunately, in this situation, neither has been able to gather fans. But let me address Ify's point on Neil. If I were to design the perfect male housemate, he would look like Neil. He would have Neil's outgoing personality. He would have Neil's social skills. However, he would have better discernment and he would be able to talk better. These are the two things I think cost Neil. He doesn't know how to talk and he doesn't have proper discernment. When I say Neil doesn't know how to talk, I don't mean that he talks anyhow or lousily like Nigerians like to say. No, I mean when you listen to him, it's hard to understand exactly what it is he's saying. He uses so many words and it's frustrating sometimes because like, what are you saying exactly? I think that also costs his game. However, it's so surprising to me that somebody like Neo has struggled to gather a fan base, because I still believe till today, if Trickety has stuck to his guns and put Neo up, if Ozo has stuck to his guns and put V up, V and Neo will be out of the house and
Would have,
Tricky and
yes, I agree completely.
so Neo has struggled to gather fans because they have not been able to relate to him. And here's the thing. We have seen, in so many ways, viewers feel like they have seen Neo before in FA, in Omashola.
Mashallah.
So that tag was on him from the gate when he came with a loud voice, loud mouth, would talk non-stop for days. His voice completely left because he wouldn't stop talking. The same thing happened to Shola, ironically, right? So he wouldn't stop talking. His voice left and he would just talk anyhow. And also, coupling up with V, I don't blame V, but I think it altered his game because then it became looking out for yourself, making your social relationships, and then also looking out for V.
For another person.
So he had to go to Tolani to say, "Oh, are you okay with V? Is everything cool?" And then viewers started to suspect why he was making those moves. Are you trying to? I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to secure yourself in the house by making sure you're cool with everyone. But I think he just never shed that air of suspicion around him. Neo came in the house, and the first week he told the story of how he got a Ghana must go and 60K to come to Lagos to be in the house. It might have been true, we don't know. Then another story he was telling how he was so poor and his mom was driving somewhere. And then Tricky T goes, "Oh, you guys even had a car. You weren't that poor then." And Neo was sort of taken aback. He was sort of taken aback that he had a car meant he wasn't poor to people. Now, I totally believe that Neo comes from a large family that's quite wealthy. And when he tells the story of his father, you can see how little attention he got from this man who's a world-renowned Nigerian lawyer, right? So when he says he's a poor kid from a rich home, I believe that. However, the way he told the story, the way he dresses, it just doesn't. The picture is confusing about Neo to the point where
Yes, that's another thing. Yes,
when he
I
talks, it's
agree with
hard to
you.
know what's true, what's an exaggeration, he's not been able to shed that image of someone who exaggerates or outright lies a lot. And also this thing he had with Dorothy in about week 3 didn't help. He seemed to be hell bent on attacking her because in his mind she had the nerve to want to take Ozo away from the house prize, which was Nengi.
Nengi.
Right. So I think the biggest flaw in Neo's game is his inability to connect with the viewers. Because in the house, he's super popular. He's probably one of the top 3 most popular people, male or female, in the house.
Yeah,
When
but
he
just
when
that
he
just
when he
doesn't
was in the bottom
translate
4,
to.
it doesn't. When he was in the bottom 4, not a single housemate called his name in the diary room. He's received in all the nomination period. He received just 2 votes. Like one week and the other week, just 2 votes. He's
Yep,
been
yep.
apart from being in the bottom 4 one time. He's not tasted nomination. He's not had to stand up. So he's pretty much coasted in the house due to his own amazing game, I must say. But his game just didn't resonate with the viewers because I don't know how he could have played a better game. Because in another season, his game would have been perfect. But this year, it
Mm,
just didn't work,
I'm
and I
thinking of
don't
what
know
season
why.
that would have worked because I don't know.
It
Would he
worked
have
last year. If he was in the house
last
with
year?
that
But then that was
Omashola,
an
it would have worked.
Omashola.
No, if
Okay, good. So
it
that
was
you will be
Neo instead
swapping
of
him out
Shola,
for Omashola.
yes,
Okay, good.
yes, it
I
would have
get that
worked
because I
last
mean,
year.
like that's like having Omashola times 2.
No, if you're
The only difference
swapping
is,
Neo for the worry guy in another season, it would have worked. That's what I'm trying
yeah,
to say
okay,
to you. It would have
okay.
worked,
But yeah,
but
but really, like I think yes, I completely agree with everything that you've said. Your analysis on Neo, as a matter of fact, is spot on. From me, I think that the housemates kind of have like look at Neo a type of way, but on the fact I think that they'll be shocked. Even like the week that Neo was up in the bottom 4, like they were so surprised. I said if this housemates even know that he was like the last of the 4 itself, they go even shocked more, because they had put him on a pedestal. Like it's kind of also had to do
in their
with the way he
minds, this
relates.
guy was gonna
Yes,
make the final. He was strong,
yeah,
even when they were
yeah, it
discussing
was.
it with each other. Erica said,
Yes.
"What more do the viewers want if a guy like Neo is in the bottom 4?" They were shocked.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
That's
because I'm like,
how highly they
the guy is
rated him.
funny. He's he's
He's good
he's he's,
looking.
he's
He's this.
jovial.
He's that.
He's good looking. He dresses well. What more do viewers want? So you cannot know. And she kept saying like you can't know. You can never know. So just be yourself. If the viewers like you, they will like you. If they don't like you, there's not. No matter what you do, that is just not gonna happen. So yeah,
Yeah.
like I think that like for me, the best part of Neo's game was the being able to convince the people on his team on the day that day of the nominations, to put up the other 2 people instead of V.
Yeah.
I think that's like
I
yes,
mean, I think the best
being
part of his game was having enough cachet with the housemates that his name never came up. Just because if any
hmm
week he
hmm
had stood up, he would have gone home that week. So he had enough
yes.
social cachet with the housemates that they just didn't look his way when it came to nominations. For example, if Prince had mentioned Neo's name, he would have given himself or why a better chance to still be in the house. But it just didn't
hmm
occur to them because he had that kind of cachet in the house.
hmm
That his game in the house as a housemate is perfect. However, his story vis-a-vis the viewers was rubbish. Rubbish.
As a matter of fact, like the one thing that viewers continue to say about Neo is like they don't believe anything that comes out of Neo's mouth,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think that also has to do with, telling a lot of conflicting stories, sort of like he tells a story and then so it's almost like, are you this person or are you that person? I mean, and of course, I mean, like it's not also hard to see how it's possible to be like be a part of both worlds. Do you get what I
No,
mean?
it's not. It's not impossible at all. I
But
mean,
then it's
that's a
just
story for
that
so many Nigerians. really.
Yes, but then it's just that the way Neil tells the story, it's
Yeah.
you're really if even if
It's
he tells them that
loud.
you lied too much,
Yeah,
yes.
it's loud,
Even
it's
the housemates,
brash,
yes,
it's,
yes. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, imagine a guy like Neo with kind of a reserve, a playful reserve. I mean, come on, man, he's so sexy. Like, and it was women that watched the show by and large. Do you understand? Looking like he looks, and not having.
Nope, he just didn't. Yeah, exactly. Like it's so surprising. I'm telling you.
So surprising, so very surprising. Honestly speaking, I'm really, really surprised that he's been unable to connect with the viewers. And yeah, he really, really did himself some damage. I mean, you think, okay, for him, he will say, "Oh, I made it to week 10. I did something right." Yes, in the house you did something right, but outside where it matters, you just didn't connect. His Instagram followership is lagging. He doesn't generate so much engagement. Like, it's really surprising. Like, really surprising. I don't know. Perhaps listeners, you have better ideas. Please fill us in on what you think about Neo and where it went wrong for him in terms of connecting with the viewers. Do you have any comments about Neo on YouTube, please?
Yes, I do. Okay. Titilayo says, what I like about Neil's ship is that it didn't stop them from interacting and socializing with other people.
Yep.
I agree with that. Um, Justina Follojo says, the week Neil was in the bottom four, it was because of what he said about Dorothy. People
Yes.
believe that he's always lying, even when he is not. I agree with you that yes, it was really about Dorothy. Like I mean, on a game like this, I think people make the same mistake every year. You get on the
Every
show.
year.
You remember Sheyi last year as well. From the first day he came into the show, he was already talking about, oh, this feminist. I beg, this is not, making those sort of snide comments
And
about
it's
people, about
women that
women,
watch the
knowing that
show.
exactly. I think this is the first season that I've seen a lot of men interested in the show. It has never happened before. It's always
Never.
like maybe like 75-25, but now I'm telling you, like it's almost like as 50 60-40,
No, I
you
would
know.
say it's
So
still about 70-30. It's women that watch the
um
show,
I know,
women
like
that
I
move the
mean,
needle, women that
I
shape
get
the
that, but
narrative around the show. It's a women's show. You can't come on the show and insult a woman like Dorothy, especially a
and then
woman that
yes.
people suspect she's already looked down on. In the way she talks about herself, you can tell she suffered so much abuse because of the way she looks. And then you come and you even prick on the way she looks in making your point. People were rising on her matter now, and rightly so, because he was out of order. He was
Okay,
out
so
of order.
Oluwashe says a stylist curated his outfits, so that post story doesn't really add up. And him denying Veneta anytime her name comes up, I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, Neo's in outfits that cost 40K, 60K, 100K. Like, come on, like, come on. I mean, maybe he made the money selling Indomie. Anything, listen, anything is possible because none of us know his real life. Anything is possible. It's just the way he
Yeah.
delivers the story. Like, if you contrast Neo with Nengi, Nengi is very careful with the way she tells her life story. Everything about Nengi happened 7 years ago. No matter what it is, it happened either happened 7 years ago or when
What
she
happened in
started going to
2012
or when she
or
started going to
2013?
pageant. Nengi literally tells three stories about herself. She started going to pageants at 16. Everything else happened 7 years ago, and when her mom died. That's it. I'm not saying she's lying or telling the truth, but if you want to curate a particular kind of image with the viewers, you have to know what you're talking about, and you have to stay within the confines of what it is you want the viewers to know about you, and it has to keep making sense.
Yeah, okay, so I have
Neo,
one more comment. Yeah, sorry.
go on.
MTMT says, I didn't watch previous seasons, but from what I've read, he didn't make it with the viewers because they saw him as playing the Omashala script, and people don't want that no more. Plus the supposed lies. Opaluwa Energy says, I think viewers are kind of tired with the whole worrying narrative Neo brought
Tired,
to the house. I think
tired,
yes, you're absolutely correct.
tired. The
So, I
next
mean, I
person
think that
from
Neo would have
worried,
done
please.
amazing.
Surprise us. The next
Airports.
person from Worry. Like, I
Airports.
know it's your culture to speak pidgin, but let's just keep it real. It's also other people's cultures to speak their own language. You can speak your pidgin, but you don't have to be so loud and brash, because even if that's how you really are, people are just going to think, another mashallah, another Neo, another Ife. And they're just going to overlook you. They're not going to give you a chance. So, BB producers, please, Epos, try to diversify. Maybe next time bring a woman from Worry, not a man.
Let's see.
Do you understand? Let me just quickly take some Twitter comments on this matter. Olugbemi says Neo is top 3 in terms of entertainment value contribution to the season. He suffered reputational damage in week 1 for being talkative and never recovered. However, his social skills kept him in the game until the end. I completely agree with you. Ibidapo says Neo was a model top 5 guy, but something about him couldn't evoke enough emotions to build a solid base. The loquacity, the reduced intellectual range, I can't say. However, his social game was 100%. Mo Bolaji says Neo, in my opinion, had one of the best games in that house purely because of the results and how he evaded the heat for 9 whole weeks. How he wasn't that threatening in the housemates' game analyses still beats me till today. Listen, I completely agree with you. All the housemates agreed that he was a very strong contender, but they still did not feel the need to shake him. Very weird. Ebelame says, Afro 7 is on the money with her analysis on Neo. You finish work. Saudat says, I think Neo has just been unlucky. The season didn't align for him. Perhaps.
Why did you skip Ovie's comment?
What did Ovie say? Ovie said, oh, if he hasn't called Neo beautiful today, I wonder why. Well, he told you that on the radio already now. So,
yeah.
All right. So, Supreme Lee 1 says, just to be clear, Neo didn't speak on Dora's body. That particular statement was misrepresented. It doesn't matter. He said, why you they do like... Because I heard it myself. He didn't say Dora is. He asked her, why you they do like fat something? Or something along those lines. But he said, why you they do like? He didn't call her that. But considering how he was talking about her to Ozo or talking against her to Ozo, everything just aligned to build a narrative. Yes, I agree with you. He didn't exactly call her a name, but he was mean to her. He was provocative to her. He was clearly looking for a fight. When Lucy and Nengi had an argument, he pretty much blamed Dora, called it jealousy, said they were jealous of her. That's why they were ganging up on her. I heard him with my own ears, so it's not like something people are making up. I heard it. I watched it live. As you know, Supreme Lee, we've been at this for a while. You're my fellow R&D. I was watching the show that day, so that's it. Now let's move on to our final housemate we want to discuss, and that's V. Please stick with us. You know, we're going to round this up real soon, but let's discuss V. I'm just going to take the lead on this one. V was one of my favorite housemates for about 2 weeks. I thought she expresses herself spectacularly, honestly. When it doesn't concern her issue. No, sorry, let me rephrase that. The first time I got an inkling of the way V's mind works is when she was telling Neo about her reluctance to stick with him every day 24/7, even though that's what he wanted. She was like, look, I came to play a game. I have to mix. I have to be with people. I have to learn people. I can't just be around you. When she had that conversation with him, I juxtaposed her with my then favorite Lilo, and I was like, yo, look at this babe who can speak exactly what she wants and who's got her eye on the ball. Okay, she's beautiful. She can sing. She speaks her mind recklessly, which makes it interesting for the viewers. And also, when you probe her, what comes out is impressive. Do you understand? It's impressive. So I was drawn to her initially. And also, she's a London girl, so obviously South London girl. There was also that bias as well. I was drawn to her. What started turning me off V as a viewer is V's penchant to look at things from a very one-eyed stance. Okay, so let's take the Lilo situation. Let's even agree that Lilo imagined them to be closer friends than they really were. Let's agree on that. However, the reason she gave for voting Lilo out is the exact
same reason she gave for keeping
Eric.
Do
you understand?
Yeah,
so I was like, huh? How? Because the reason she gave for keeping Lilo out, to me, if they were not friendly or familiar at all, I would have rated it. But I remember Lilo coming to her to say, Katharina observed me doing this and had advised me to change my game. V said to her, don't worry, I dare your back. Carry on doing as you're doing. Only for her to get in the diary room to complain that Lilo was doing the exact same thing Katharina told Lilo she was doing. And then she said, oh, but Eric, he's just a young man. He will learn. He just likes her a lot. He's naive. So I voted to keep him. But for the same reason, she voted to kick Lilo out. So I was like, how far this babe? I don't understand though. So I was burnt by that because, when I watch a show like this, I really like loyalty. So I was burnt by it. However, I can't deny that V as a housemate is very compelling because she gives you things to talk about. She's not just skating along. She's not afraid of controversy. She's not afraid to say the wrong thing. She's not afraid to get on people's toes. In the first 5 weeks, she had this very negative, low energy vibe. She wouldn't participate in tasks. She would be so like, please, I beg. I will say this just once and I'm not saying it again. She was a drain. However, in the last 3 weeks of the show, to me, all told, as in everybody combined, V has been the best housemate. The last 3 weeks of the show, V has been the best. She has been the most interesting. She has generated talking points. She has kept up her same personality, her same step on any tall personality that's given viewers something to think about. There's also her relationship with Erica that sort of fell apart. Like I said before, V and Erica were actually friends. V, Erica, and told anybody you should go for girly gists. She chose Laycon over Erica. There was a conversation she had with Laycon where she said she was going in the room and she heard Wire and Erica disrespecting Laycon, and that burnt her. And I completely understood how she felt. Meanwhile, she told the story to Laycon and it entered one different dimension where she was speaking about Erica as if Erica had done her something personally, And I was like, babe, you started off nicely. Pause. There's that. Then there's V's diary sessions, which bar none have been the best this season. The babe goes in the diary room and you're just compelled to sit there and listen to her. The way she analyzes all the housemates, the way she even analyzes her own decisions. The only thing to me that she's ever said janky in the diary room is when she said, oh, she doesn't see Neo as a weak link. However, everybody else in the bottom four was a weak link. But my guy was just in the bottom four as well, girl. I don't understand, So this same V also somehow managed to convince Tricky T and Laycon to do her bidding without them realizing that was exactly what she was doing. When Neo was up in the bottom four, her reaction provoked a statement from the female housemates in particular. Don't worry, he's going nowhere. They all stood with her. So that shows you the kind of view they took of V, Neo, and their relationship. Her being so affected by him in the bottom four provoked a reaction from everybody. They all went in the room. Not one person mentioned his name. So that's V. What do you think? What do you think of V, Iffy?
Yes, I think you've pretty much summed up V's character in the house. She's the first 2 weeks I didn't quite connect with her, But in the third week, when, like you mentioned, the conversation she had with Neo, when Neo was kept sulking about how she will go off, talk to other people and everything, I was like, yo, I can't be with you all the time. And how Neo is very emotional, and she's just not as emotional as Neo is. One thing that stood out for me was how she was able to articulate her feelings, and to Neo as straightforward and as clearly as possible, and again, after that week, and then the next week, she just went back to the old V. So it was like, this babe that we were just rooting for just now, it just lasted 1 week, I'm like, come on, I was really, really liking this girl, this week, because no other girl on the show seemed to have that kind of resolve, seemed to be able to put into words the way they felt about a certain situation. Look at the thing with Nengi, and also look at the thing with Erica and Kidwire, there was no other person on the show at the time who was able to say exactly what they were thinking or feeling at the time, and then, but V did it. So he was like, oh yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see her be that way. But then by the next day, she just went back to where, she used to just sleep and just be about Neil. And I think there's something that happened between her and Neil too, when Neil was telling her, reach, reach, and I mean, I was so shocked how this girl just took this whole thing in and went back to bed with him
He
and
must
everything
have
because
caught her at low moments, because I can't believe he got away with that.
yes, he did. Like he really said a lot of things. Look, I'm making to look for this full house. Nobody, no, they're not rich. They never born the person for this full house. You look at, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, wow, So I was really taken aback by that incident, and I really thought that she was going to change it for him, but that changing didn't happen. And if for anything, she became more subdued. She just continued, just being like the way she was before.
Why do you think
she had
that
the
she's failed to resonate with the viewers as well? Because what kept her in the house for a while, first is her really stellar alliance with Laycon, and also Erica's disqualification.
yes,
So why do you
yes.
think that she's failed to build a rapport with the viewers?
I think because we are the ones that see everything. V knows how we talk. You get. She's very unfeeling. She's very what's the word now? Like she lacks tact. And as an adult, you can't just open your mouth and say everything that comes out of it. V is one of such people. She doesn't care who's excuse me, like she doesn't care who's ox is God. She doesn't care who is affected by it. She doesn't it just doesn't matter to her. Like she feels like, oh, I'm being blunt. No, girl. Like sometimes when you say certain things, the things you just shouldn't say. Do you get what I mean? By virtue of the fact that you're in competition. Yes. I mean, like I understand that you can express your feeling or emotions or whatever towards another housemate or towards this particular event. But then, you just being able to learn how to, and I also worry for her because I think that she's mad talented. Like V is one of, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most talented housemates this season,
And she's also pretty exposed, even though she doesn't show that. When they're discussing things, yesterday they were discussing the United States. It was V that kept correcting their assertions. Nope, that didn't happen there, it happened here. Like she reads a lot. But for some strange reason, that doesn't come across. But yesterday I was like, hold on, this babe, Yeah.
Yeah, so I think one of the reasons why is because I mean, like we all have our faves, and if you see, for instance, I really with Lilo was like easily one of my favorites in the house, and then when that thing happened, I know how affected I was by it because I'm like, but you guys are like,
I still think V didn't recover from that. I think she didn't recover
yes,
from
yes,
that.
because I think that loyalty as well is also very important for the game because it's almost like this girl showed you in every way that was possible that you were her person. Do you get what I mean? Like Lilo would make food and say, "Oh, my family people," like like she really saw her family, like that kind of a thing. Yeah,
she
so
chose
and
her
also
blatantly. Yeah.
Yes, she did, and she wasn't even, so it was kind of even for Lilo after she left the house, she was rather stung by it. That come on, V, that was meant to be my person, the person who did this, and as you already mentioned, putting her up for the exact same reason that she chose to save Eric for, I just think that so yes, that is one reason. Another reason is also again because of the way she speaks, like she doesn't know how to be tactful. She doesn't know how to. You can be, I don't know, you may not be the most emotional person, but you should possess some level of emotional intelligence. So I think she lacks. That's one thing she really, really, really lacks: emotional intelligence. She doesn't know when to speak. She doesn't know what not to say. Like when Ozol left, and she said to Nengi, "Would you rather it was you who left?" And I think that come on, the person is feeling whatever she's feeling now. Like, are you saying that because I mean, look at the day that Neil was up. And then she was feeling, so it's almost like as long as it doesn't affect her personally, then anybody else can go to help because
that's where her one-eyedness comes in. And also, let's not forget that V and Dora are the same age. V's 24, Dora's 24. V is young, V is growing, and I think when she leaves the show and she sees the feedback from viewers,
of her behavior,
she would take some things on board because I think the
and
biggest
I really hope
demerit,
so,
the biggest demerit against V is the way she talks. It's the way she just says everything. Wow, she doesn't think of the rest of her.
She's really flippant. She's really flippant.
She's not, listen, people will be willing to cut her more slack because people are always harder on women. I think they'll be willing to cut her more slack if she was Nigerian from Nigeria. The fact that she's British also makes people
her less relatable.
Yeah, a bit more suspicious of her because she is also 24. She is quite young. But I think that coldness in the way, and she says it boldly, like, I'm not emotional. But I think what she means to say is I'm not emotionally intelligent. And I think that would be, so it's funny. She's emotionally intelligent about what she feels. However, when
but just not as a concern to other people.
Exactly.
So it's almost like she doesn't extend other people the same grace that she gives herself.
Exactly. I think that's That's the absolute problem. Let's read some comments from people about V. Supremely says V is let me just round up. So like I said earlier, I think in the past 3 weeks, V has been the most interesting housemate, the top performer in the house. And as a matter of fact, I voted for her last week as housemate of the week. I'm voting for her this week again as housemate of the week because I think she deserves it. So let's just take some comments on Twitter on V. V is a confident woman, 24 years old and learning. Best diary sessions in the season. Impeccable growth in terms of self-confidence. She can do better with her words, but overall she's a good girl. A top 5 housemate. I stand. I think on merit, you can make a case of V definitely being a top 5 housemate. I can't lie. I think you can. Isioma says, I love how Tola described V's game. Thank you very much. I want to find some interesting comments. Let me see. Olugbemi says, the Lilo thing isn't accurate, Sha. They were acquaintances. Had one convo about Katrina slighting Lilo's gum Eric, not about Lilo's game. No, I don't agree with that. Ironically, she's super loyal to Laycon and Nengi. At 24, she's rather insightful, even if tactless and non-circumspective. I agree with the last statement. Ironically, she's super loyal to Laycon and Nengi. I agree that she's super loyal to Laycon. I don't know about Nengi. The Lilo thing isn't accurate, Shah. They were acquaintances. Even if we concede that, they had one convo about Katrina slicing Lilo's gum in Eric, not about Lilo's game. Katrina's conversation with Lilo was about how her gumming Eric was affecting her game. So I don't know how you can
separate how people will see that.
Exactly. So I don't know how you can separate those two things. I'm not really. Saudat says V did everything this season. She really gave us a show. She provokes a reaction from the audience. She was always spot on about housemates. She gave us romance. She was assertive and everything. I'm biased, Shah. She's been my favorite housemate of the season. I agree with a lot of the things you said, Sauda. I think that V has been a very interesting housemate. And all in all, she is definitely deserving of a top 5 position. Do you have any comments on Facebook?
Yes.
On YouTube, rather?
Oh, yes. The viewers... Okay, so, sorry. Lowa B says, I think the V-Laycon friendship helped the both of them. Yes. Laycon encouraged her to put her best foot forward with regards to tasks.
Yes.
And still tried to encourage her to not disrespect Erica as HOH.
Yes, he did.
Just being 7, she says she lacks empathy. I agree with you. MTNT says the viewer's problem with V is she lacks empathy and tact, plus the Lilo thing. But the Lay's friendship helped her even with the tasks. I agree with you again. Oluwabi Oluwashai says, I think one of the reasons she didn't resonate with the viewers is because she defended not getting a university education. I mean, we all know that is not a criteria for success, but nah. Well, I didn't consider that angle. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know
Felicia Adelakan says, it's called being unkind, not all these fancy names you're giving her behavior. And I just says, V is the most rugged babe in that house. She's sharp, smart, and a survivor.
Yep, I agree with that too.
Okay, that's my last comment.
I mean, I think a lot of V has a lot of characteristics that make her a stellar reality TV show candidate. You know, I think if she were on a British show or she was proper Nigerian, she probably would go further with the audience. The game she played the past 3 weeks, excellent. Like the way she dealt with Ozo, I think was very appropriate. In the middle of a task, my guy went to say bye to his babe or hi to his babe. And V said, look at this guy. They'll be forming love, but at night they'll sleep on different beds, because she was confused as to what go on with these two, you know. So she was definitely able to read people very well. Her assessment of Erica was spot on when she said when Erica came into the house, Erica was like the light of the house, so bubbly, so happy, but she saw a gradual decline in Erica, and ironically, so did I. There was the more Erica looked for assurances from Wyatt and she didn't get it, the closer she came to the edge, which she eventually fell over the cliff. But V identified the decline in Erica 2 weeks prior to Erica's exit of the house. V identified that Dorothy retreated into her shell as a result of the questioning from Ibuka. V identified that Ozo's behavior was bordering on very strange, you know. So that means she was seeing these things pretty much like the viewers we're seeing
It's
these
just the
things.
same thing, but V only sees the things about other people
Yes, yes, yes,
and
yes,
fails to
yes,
look inwards because
yes, yes. I
like
agree.
to her,
I
she
agree.
can't do no wrong to her. Like, it's
Yes, I
all
agree.
facts. It's all being
I
about
don't think
being
she'd ever
blunt and all of that.
apologize for anything in the house, really.
No,
I
no,
think
I don't
she's
think
even
so.
to Neo herself. I don't think she'd ever apologize for
No,
anything.
I don't
But
think so.
all in all, I think we've analyzed these five finalists. I think they're all deserving of their place, either by their game over the length of over the duration of the show, or by their game on the final stretch of the show. Everybody in the final five deserves it, whether they get 10%, 1%, whatever, it doesn't matter. The primary aim is getting to the final, to the end of the show. If you win it, only one person can win it, but you've experienced the breadth of the show. So we would like to congratulate every single housemate that made it to the end, and we wish them good luck. Now, to announce our housemate of the week. Dum, 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 dum. So we had Neil, we had V, we had Dorothy, and we had Nengi. So at 7% is Neil, at 27% is Dorothy, at 32% is Nengi. And my vote coming in as the final housemate of the week is V. Very well deserved. She should have won it last week as well. Very well deserved. Congratulations to V. Congratulations to the V Hive. This is one that I really wanted her to win because I think her game deserves it. And yes, this is one for you guys, V Hive. Whatever happens on Sunday, it doesn't matter. She played her game. She made it to the final. Only one person can win. So you just take this as some kind of compensation, okay? Congratulations to V and to her fans. Thank you guys very, 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 very much for sticking with us. It was a very long episode today, almost 2 hours, but I think that's just how much we had to discuss. Next week we're going to look at the show as a whole. We're going to highlight the negatives and the positives, so you might want to get in your questions and things you would like us to discuss next week now by using the hashtag BBNigerLD BD, or CCing myself and Iffy and or OVA, however you want to do it. But we look forward to catching you guys again next week. Thank you so much for sticking with us and for participating in what's been a really interesting show. I really enjoyed it. Any words before we sign off, Iffy?
Yeah, I think it's been an amazing show. It's also been good running for the entire season. I think this is our ninth episode, I think, Tola.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you to all viewers for sticking with us. I know that maybe sometimes we didn't get it right, or we didn't, say what exactly we wanted to hear, but it's been fun having you guys comment with us and listen to the show and leave your comments. Like, that has been very, very, very important and useful to us as well. So thank you very much for staying with us
And we
for
might
the
be
duration of the show.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you short. Yeah, we might do it on
OVA.
Monday this time. Can you hear me? Can
Go
you guys
on.
hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can hear
So,
you. Go
I
ahead.
said for next week, which is the finale, we might we'll confirm it on social media, but most very likely instead of Tuesday we'll have the final show on Monday, since there's no nomination or eviction on Monday. Yeah.
Yes. We'll do that. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much. The R&D, long live you guys. Good life, long health, healthy pockets, man. I really, really rock with you guys, as you know.
Long health. Okay.
All of it. All things good to you guys, man. You guys reign supreme.
Yeah.
Look at it this season, right? Everything they cost us for, everything they maligned us for, they all came on board and they did it even 10 times worse. So that means that all along you were doing something right. If you were R&D, if you're watching Big Brother Naija, you were doing something right, because guess what? They all joined us this season, So just to enjoy your thing, Jeje. No mind who they talk with in. Just enjoy your thing. That's all I've got to say. And we'll catch you guys next time. Take care of yourself and each other. Peace.
Good night.
You're listening to the BB Naija Lockdown Breakdown on Not Just Okay Radio.